Mini Jake, the tribe has spoken.
Fuck you, Kevin.
Aw, fuck you too, sweetie.
I'm JJ, one of the original Tribe of Nerds members. You can catch me on Marvel, Pokemon, and other gaming podcasts.
What up? It's Josh, resident superhero nerd, but I also dabble in the occasional super villain as well.
Some may know me as the Chaos Gremlin, but really I'm just Joe King.
Pikachu, use Volt Tackle! Good job, Pikachu!
On the Tribe of Nerds. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Shane and I are back for another episode of Survivor What If with another Survivor contestant. This time we have from Survivor Vanuatu, Islands of Fire, Travis, Bubba, Sampson. Welcome to the Tribe of Nerds, Bubba.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jake Shane. I appreciate you asking me out.
Of course, man. Of course. Well, let's get into your scenario. So we're pondering questions from across the Survivor multiverse. And in your time in Vanuatu, you had a famous moment where you tried to send a message to Chris on the other tribe after the swap, and Amy ended up catching you, and it led to your demise on the show. So walk us through it. Like, what if you didn't get caught sending a message to Chris? What if that was successful? Either Chris throws the challenge or Amy just doesn't catch you and you're able to survive that vote.
Okay, I want to share you on some information that I haven't shared before. It got brought out in another podcast because the guy picked it up and it was crazy. The way the signaling started was the night before I'd snuck over to my old tribe twice.
Oh wow!
Wow! When I first told Survivor about this, they said there's no way. And I said, yes, there is a way. And they said, how? I said, well, when we lost the immunity challenge to Daw, or not immunity, but the reward challenge to Daw, I was sitting on the beach and he paddled past our camp and went down below it. So I thought, well, their camp must be down there because the females won. So when we dropped buffs, I remember that and I snuck over. What kept me from getting to Chris was the gentleman that usually watched us was sick and couldn't there. So Peter had to watch us, and Peter stays up all night. Now, had I done it over, I'd go up and say, hey, Peter, we're going to make Survivor history. You can either pick up that camera and film me talking to Chris, or you can just miss it. That's what I should have done, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell Chris if they vote the two girls out, our old, alliance would be back.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get to him. So we go to the challenge, and I knew I had to signal to Chris. Now, this is the part I've never told anybody. If you go back and rewatch that, they dubbed my voice in. I never said out loud, think about the merge. I never, ever said it out loud.
Whoa.
Yes, they dubbed it in. And I was never going to say anything because, you tick Survivor off. Who else, what to go on. But I'm saying it now because it's been so time over. It's obvious it was dubbed in. And the way the guy that entered me from Australia picked it up, he said, how do you feel that they dubbed that in? I said, that's crazy. I said, I've been interviewed so many times and nobody picked it up. How did you catch that? He said, well, honestly, he said, I had to watch it about 1,000 times. But he said, he said, if you had yelled it out, Amy would have not had to convince the rest of the tribe members to vote you out. They would have heard it. And I thought, that's true. Because Amy invited, and if you ever have Amy on, you can even ask her. One thing that impressed her when we came back, she brought up, why were you signaling? And I said, because I had no other choice. I'm outnumbered here. And I explained. And she said, well, I'm very impressed that you admitted it. So they didn't put that in there because then everybody would have known. but I never said it out loud. Just mouthed it. And Amy picked it up that I was signaling, not quite what I was signaling. So when we go back and, they do those talks where you just talk to the camera and whatnot, they asked, what did you hear? And I said, well, I said I was saying, think about the merge. Well, they took that and put it in that scene. And this ever brought this up,
That's insane.
Yeah, I never would have thought that.
Yeah. Go back and watch it. There's other things, but that was the one. And a lot of people, Amy in general, when the show was over and it was airing, you do radio station after radio station after radio station, interview. And I had to go get a landline because I had a cordless that kept going dead. I had to get a landline just to stay on the phone. But it was there's a radio station in Denver that actually called and asked, hey, we know you have hard feelings toward Amy and stuff like that. And I said, absolutely not. She was playing a game. I said, she played a brilliant game. She was in the position I was in before I had to drop my, we've done the swap thing. And now me and Amy are like super, super tight. And a lot of people didn't even think that, but it's just a game. And that's why nothing personal. I mean, if you're going in to play this game, man, don't be sour grapes. It's a game, And I started off the game, me and Chris got together pretty quick. As soon as we was walking down the beach, we got together. A reason being, and I've said this a few times, but people always ask, why did the Fat Five get together? Why were they voting out the best players? Well, that's because the other four had an alliance before the game even started. So we kind of got tossed together, and we knew we had to stay loyal. Sarge was wanting Rory out. Brady was trying to work Sarge to get Rory out. And Chris knew as soon as you peel one person out of that alliance and add another, it's going to open up a whole Pandora's box. So we didn't do that. We stuck with that. And the one thing people said, would you, use an alliance to Chris, did you trust Chris? And I still trust Chris. In fact, next week I'll be going up to his house.
Oh, wow.
I trusted Chris. And the reason being is like, when I first met him, he reminded me of home, the long hair, the stuff like that. I mean, this is guys I grew up with, but I knew he meant it when they were going by looking at the torches, at the end, at the end of the show, and looking at the torches, and he looks at mine, he said, it's supposed to be me and you, Bubba, to the end. And that meant the world. And and we're tight. But our wives got even tighter, is what's crazy about it. I mean, they see each other, oh man, all the time, about every 3 months. But had I not gotten voted out, had I not got caught, it would have definitely been a different ball game. But I don't know if some of the breaks that happened for Chris would have happened because by Chris being in a desperate situation and his ability to influence people, especially a jury. Goes there because, and one of the things I don't understand is why he hasn't been invited back to an All-Star. I mean, it's him, all those women, and he went right through them. To me, that was one of the greatest comebacks. But had I not gotten voted out, I think it would have been somewhere down there because I was told I had a puppy dog disease. I said, my God, Lisa, what's puppy dog disease? She said, well, the longer you're around, the harder it is to get rid of you. The challenges and stuff, man, they was laughing at me because they didn't knew I was just, just a fun guy to be around. We'd hang around, talk around fire and stuff like that, and it was all good. But Amy wasn't having that. She was in her game face. There was a couple of times Amy let herself down. Well, I don't say let herself down, let her guard down. Started talking about family. And I said, now that, and in my mind, I said, that's the Amy I want to know. And that's the Amy I got to know after the show. And that's why we're so tight. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were able to talk to Amy a week ago, Shane, right? 2 weeks ago. Yeah, so we were able to talk to her, and we didn't ask her about this moment, but yeah, It's crazy. It's crazy to get to talk to you guys.
Oh, it is. Anytime y'all want to talk, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Chris. Go ahead.
Before, but y'all are like really professional, so I'm all about it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that it's a shame that Chris hasn't been asked back, which really is because he's a very underrated winner. But have you ever been in the mix to return?
I have been. The only thing I was asked if I was interested, and because since then I've had another knee surgery, a ruptured quad, and then I had my fight with COVID where I was on a vent and incubated, and it's I wouldn't be able to go at my 100% in some of these challenges and stuff. There's some other shows that kind of asked, and I haven't. When I first got picked for Survivor, they had me, Dolly, and Chad on an advertisement. Chad was the overcomer, Dolly was the looks, and I was supposed to unfiltered. And when I played the game, I came a little bit more filtered than what they thought, simply because my position. There wasn't no need to stir it up. And then once I got over to the girls' tribe, the last thing you want to do is to stir up anything. But yeah, so but it was an interesting play. Would I want to do it again? If I was able, occasions I probably would, but as of right now, no, I would.
Yeah. I did want to ask, how did the Bob Barker shirt come about? Like how did you end up wearing that on the show?
Dude, I want to tell you, that's an interesting story. Matter of fact, I'm right here. My good friend Ferguson, his dad, Shelburne Ferguson Sr., was in the area, and Bob Barker had a show called Truth or Consequences. And Bob had an idea for this new game show. And what they did is they called it the Bob Barker Fun Game Show. And they would go to civic centers and things like that, and they would put the show on. Well, this is back toward late 70s. They made these Bob Barker t-shirts. On the back says Bob Barker Fun and Game Show. And they sold them, put it to Freedom Hall, got a bunch of this game stuff on, pitched to CBS. They loved it, and they come up with the prices right. Well, when I was in school, they out all these t-shirts because he had a bunch of them left over, and they were old throwbacks. So we loved the retro throwback type thing, some of the originals, that they had. And I wore it into one of the interviews, and they said, "Would you wear?" I said, "Absolutely, I'll wear." I said, "This is my proud. I love this shirt." They said, "Yeah, that'd be great." So, in some of the early photos of the show, it shows me wearing a blue shirt with an plain orange shirt. They had to take Bob off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they had to get Bob Barker's personal permission before I could wear that, because Bob was in CBS when you could own your own image. Now, if you're with CBS, they own you. And Bob Barker said, "Sure," and that's how I got to wear it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And I was thinking, man, I was the very first person to wear a copyright that wasn't covered up, on a show, because Bob Barker himself said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead, let him wear it." So pretty cool,
It's your game changer.
I know, man. I mean,
yeah.
Shane, do you have anything else for Bubba?
What were your thoughts seeing like some people from your season play again in Micronesia? We saw Amy and Eliza come back. There's so many people on your cast that I would have loved to see back, and it's surprising no one else besides them has been back. But what was it like to see them play again?
The three people, Amy and Eliza, are awesome. Me and Eliza are not, but we love each other. You know what I'm saying? We're like, but we can talk about our differences. We don't argue. I love her to death. She's very smart, very intelligent. Of course, I've already told you about Amy. The three people I'd like to see back, me and Rory got God, I swear, Rory is so funny. If they could see Rory, what he did, off camera instead of on camera, I mean, gosh, it was just, my stomach hurt so bad laughing at him. Okay. Twyla.
Mm-hmm.
Twyla. They've asked her back a couple times, said, hey, well, and then cut her right 5 minutes, stuff like that. And I mean, Twyla is such a strong character. I mean, there's another game. They stream it, but it's like Survivor. They stream it. And I watched some of her in that, and I mean, she was calling people out. He was playing his on and saying before the game. I mean, she was just blasting people. I thought, now that's what they want to see. But Chris, Rory is the three that I really see get another shot. Amy and Eliza, I think, were good picks, but those other three right there, I think, really got a lot of character that didn't come out in the first season. First season.
Yeah, I like all three of those picks. I think they're fantastic characters and should be remembered more. So
yeah. I would have loved to see Chris on the winners season. I feel like he would have been a good addition to that season, but
another old schooler.
Like they didn't call him.
Yeah. I mean, we had a really good cast, and it's like a lot of personalities didn't get to come out, but my gosh, Rory, I swear you could put him on a stage for 2 hours and I would sit there and laugh my honey. I busted Chris so much. It was just unreal. And I'm very thankful that didn't make it on television, because we busted him pretty hard. But look it, man. He rolled with it, man. I mean, that's just, like I said, he reminded me back home. Your friends, man, you can, if you're friend, you can bust on each other, pretty hard, and doing it to beat hunger and stuff like that. That's another thing I'd like to add. Me and Chris, I'd found some charcoal and stuff and made a water filter. And on the show, it looks like we went 6 days without water. But if you'll look in those early episodes where we had water, you see us pouring water in this big bamboo thing that we had sand. So we was filtering water. It just took so long to get it. But I was glad when we got that flint and was able to boil, then we could have even more. But yeah, there's a little like that went on and didn't get shown, because a lot of people had a lot more abilities than they showed, and a lot more. But if it don't fit the narrative, it's like a filler joke. I made one a joke that they cut because they didn't quite understand it, and what it was, I referenced to it. People were complaining, and I said, well, if they're complaining, they need to stick a sugar titty in their mouth. Well, that's what sugar titty was, and it's just a wet rag dipped in sugar. Is what it is. Sugar. They thought it was something else, but we can't put that on there, And it was. And I said, "Oh my gosh!" And I said, "Yeah, you let Tom say titty,
right?
He got a stick feather in his butt and everything while around." But
For sure. Well, thank you so much, Bubba, for coming on. This has been great. So,
hey, anytime, guys. Like I say, I love your professionalism. I love your questions. Easy to talk to. Anytime, brother, you just let me know. I'll holler back and we'll get back on. All right?
Yeah, of course. We'll have you on anytime. So thank you. And we'll see you all next time for more Survivor content on the Tribe of Nerds.